Hi Becky, I'm Olivia and I'm going to be talking you through my project 1 today. I'm going to start with my reflective journal and then I'm going to move on to my technical drawings. I hope you enjoy it. So this is my reflective journal for project 1 for a 1-bedroom work from home apartment. I've just done a little list here of where we can find my research and planning. I started out by looking at my client and done an introductory paragraph of a 24-year-old female who's going to be living by herself. So I started by doing a timeline of her day-to-day life for the weekdays and weekends, just to get an overview of how she spends her time. I then looked at my client's profile through the use of a mind map. I looked at her personality, her work, her hobbies and interests, what she does in her social time, and her likes and dislikes for interior. I found that she likes nice light and bright rooms, open space with light colours, and she definitely doesn't like too stark or too dark and enclosed spaces either. So I also looked at one of her main hobbies, which was to travel. I looked at one of her recent trips that she went on to Iceland. I looked at all the colours and how this could be used in the interior. I looked at one of her own photographs. I looked at the colour palettes here and whether or not maybe that photograph could be included in the interior to add a bit of personal touch. I found that in Iceland a lot of the interiors are quite Scandinavian and Nordic, so I looked at these and also thought the likes and dislikes and what would suit my client for each of these. I then moved on to the Maldives, which I've noted here is, very tranquil, peaceful, calming and zen. The interiors themselves are quite simplistic and modern with lots of clean lines. There isn't as much history to the Maldives, so there wasn't that much to research really, other than just look at loads of beautiful pictures. So I then moved on to another trip, which she noted was to Venice. Venice, on the other hand, provided with loads of information that you could research about the history of the place, that you could literally go on and on. So I then looked at the interior style. Very glamorous, flamboyant, grand, probably something that couldn't be included fully in the apartment, but definitely something to give a bit of inspiration and take ideas from. So I then summarised what I found from the travel research, influences and ideas. The destinations, I found that all quite close to water, so perhaps that's something that could be used in the flat. Or I also looked at including touches of luxury. Venice is very grand, the Maldives is quite simplistic, so maybe a fusion of the two together, a modern interior in an older building, could be quite suited to my client. I also looked at another one of her hobbies, which is cooking. So I looked at different kitchen options, storage, hanging things on the wall, shelving, extra islands, things like that. I looked at all different ideas for seating and the islands and the pros and cons for each of these and whether or not I thought they were suited to my client. And then I also did a quick little block just to plan out where these would sit in the floor plan. I then looked at the fashion and makeup, which is definitely something my client is interested in as she works in fashion and makeup herself. So I looked at a makeup artist who's got her own flagship stores, Charlotte Tilbury. I looked at the interior of these stores, as I know that designers are often very involved in the aesthetic of their shops to give a reflection of their brand. Very neutral colour palette mainly, but then pops of colour, something that I thought I could take from there. Jewel tones, fabrics, personal photos, the feathers here, lots of reflective surfaces and lighting. And then I moved on to the Chloe store, which is the flagship store in Soho. Again, very neutral colour palette, gold and cream mainly, clean lines, a bit of a mixture between the circular and square fittings. And this was actually designed by Joseph Durand, which I love all of his work. The period buildings were what I found most of the Chloe stores were in, large windows, things like that. I then looked at Victoria Beckham. Her store was quite different. It was quite industrial, like concrete, lots of reflective surfaces, definitely clean lines again. So then I moved on to have a look at how I could incorporate some of these ideas from the interiors of the shops into the apartment. The reflective surfaces were apparent in all three, would definitely add some brightness through bouncing the light around the space. Also adding the brass fixtures, and the gold would definitely add some luxury, or even glass and things like that. It was definitely apparent in every design I looked at. There was clever lighting also used in all of them. Not necessarily always just like a pendant light or anything like that, but especially in the Victoria Beckham store, I noticed the lighting in the shelving and stuff, which was definitely a good idea, and something that I could potentially look at doing. The luxury fabrics were again something that was definitely a feature in the Chloe store and the Charlotte Tilbury one. So I did a little list here of different types of fabrics I could potentially use. Especially in the Charlotte Tilbury, there was the pop of colour through the use of the fabric in the chairs, which I quite like the idea of, rather than painting the walls and things, like adding the pops of colour through the chairs and the fabrics. I did a couple of little sketches here, just of ideas of pieces of furniture that I could potentially use. And then I summarised what I've learnt and what I'll consider when designing from my client research. I know that she likes to travel, and definitely some influences from the places she's been to. The kitchen space is important. She likes to socialise. A dining table will be essential. Light, bright interior, definitely considering the lighting. Sofas that potentially could come into a sofa bed, and then also a dressing room would be a good idea. So I then moved on to have a look at the location, which I decided the apartment is going to be in Woolton Village, which is in the south of Liverpool. It's a little village, 10 minutes from the city centre and really close to the motorways. So I did a quick interview with somebody who works and lives in Woolton, just to get an idea of the place and how she feels about it, as someone who is of a similar age, a 22-year-old, so I just wanted to get her opinion. She gave me lots of insightful information and really positive feedback. And then I had a little look myself online. There's a new cocktail bar opening in Woolton, and there's also sort of like a community project at the minute to get the old swimming baths open, and there is a village farmers market. I had a quick look at the property market just to get an idea of what it's like at the minute. The house prices are on the rise. It's a very desirable area for professionals, and there's just lots going on as well. I looked at the demographics just to get an idea. Average age of people is actually currently 46, so it shows that there's a lot of potential to stay there for the long term. I looked at the inspiration in Woolton when I was just around. I was taking a few photographs and looking, like that's a pub and the Juliet balconies and stuff, which I love, and how they're all decorated with flowers. And then I just summarised what I'd learnt about the location. My primary research indicated that it's definitely suitable for my client and her job, which obviously involves some travelling. It's close to the motorways, 10 minutes to train stations. There's lots of pubs and lots of things to do for her to socialise with. So then I decided just to recap on the brief, just as I was finished with my research. Now I'm ready to start making some plans. So a self-contained one-bedroom apartment which must accommodate a studio area, relaxing area, dining area, sleeping area and storage area. So this was just a quick look at my first initial thoughts of the floor plan. Whether or not the bedroom, I noticed there's only one window. If I had a bedroom up here, would there be any natural light? This would be wasted space if the doorway was there. Just that the kitchen's all along one thing, so it's just my initial thoughts really. So I decided to create a bit of a style mood board and a style postcard to get a idea of how I wanted the apartment to be and how I wanted it to flow. I'd like it to be an area where my client can unwind and relax, feel inspired and also get creative, which I think is best to be done by making sure that the environment's fully suited to her needs. I want it to be calm and relaxing, which I think is the best done through the colour palette. So that's what I've said here. I'm going to use a neutral colour palette along with the anchor colours as I discussed with the fabrics and like what I saw in the Charlotte Tilbury store. I'd like it to be luxurious and inviting. I'm going to do this through lots of textures and materials, and I would also like it to be taken inspiration from period properties with panelled walls, etc., and for it to just be a light, bright and tranquil space where it can turn into a warm and cosy environment in the evenings. So having created that postcard, I then went on to do the mood board with, you know, the cosy bath and the candles and the fluffy fabrics. She obviously needs to work, so I want it to be, you know, like a fashionable, cool office vibe with fresh flowers, somewhere where she can feel relaxed, and this is sort of like the neutral colour palettes, etc. I put the mood board like this because I wanted it to really show that it is an airy space. As much as the bit of negative space here, I felt like these images really just summarised what I was trying to get across.